what is this story, the context that so much of the media is leaving out? Because you see these people who it's very, I find this very hard to deal with right now, because people really think that they're just, when they express sympathy towards the Israelis who have been killed, they don't think that they need to mention the Palestinians who have been killed, or they don't think that they need to mention what Netanyahu is responding with, or they don't feel that they need to mention how Israel created this situation in the first place. So can you fill that in?
So Netanyahu on October 7th already, he said, we are at war with, we are at war. Well, excuse me? Israel declared war on the Palestinians 75 years ago. That war has been going on against Palestinians. Palestinians have been the victims of a vicious, savage, I would say, brutality for 75 years. The fact that the 2 million people are locked up in the concentration camp, which some people now say has been turned into an extermination camp in the Gaza Strip, is only a part of this horrific story, this savagery that Palestinians have been subjected to. Palestinians have never had an army. They still don't have an army. What we saw is a small, guerrilla group. It's not an army operating. And so Israel has been murdering civilians, dispossessing people, torturing them, beating them, taking away their land, stealing from them, stealing their homes and their land and their resources, and their trees and their money, and on and on and on. For 75 years, Israel declared this war 75 years ago. Netanyahu thinks the war started now. This has nothing to do with Hamas. These are Palestinian fighters from the Gaza Strip in an act of resistance. Now, I don't think I'm saying anything that anybody would disagree with when I say that it breaks your heart when a person gets killed. Everybody has a mother and a father. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. Of course, it's horrifying when somebody gets killed. But what they do is they take it out of context. You cannot take this out of context. What we saw Palestinian fighters doing, and again, we don't know the full picture because there is no reliable news source yet that I've seen anyway, that gives the entire picture. How many were taken, how many were killed, how many were injured, under what circumstances, and so on.
It does look like the decapitated babies is unfounded, by the way.
Oh,
That
it's
claim.
unfounded. Yeah, it's unfounded. And babies in chicken coops and cages are
Yeah.
unfounded. But I mean, the thing, and let's say, what do you think happens when a 1-ton bomb is dropped on a building? You think babies aren't decapitated? You think people aren't suffocated in the gases that come out and the smoke?
The white phosphorus.
And the white phosphorus and the buildings that fall on people, that people get trapped and parts of their body gets, I mean, it goes on and on and on, the horror. You know what I mean? You want to get to the details of the horror? Fine, let's get into the details of the horror. Let me describe to you what happens when you drop a 1-ton bomb in a neighborhood, in a residential neighborhood. How many children get, so that's not the issue. We need to see this in a political context. Now, military operations, actions have to lead to a political outcome. That's the point of that's their objective. People are always, get stuck on the military side of it, on the armed side of it. But the more important issue here is the political accomplishments, the political objective that is reached through the military goal. Now, Palestinians have been waiting for a peaceful resolution for decades, and their hands have been slapped away, and they've been humiliated over and over again. Every time they reach out, every time they agree to some kind of a solution, they get slapped in the face and humiliated. Just a couple of years ago, we saw the March of Return, where people marched to the wall, to the gates of Gaza. And what did they get? They got thousands of young Palestinians whose legs had to be amputated. There are over 2,000 young Palestinians whose legs have been amputated because of sniper fire that was directed against unarmed civilians who came to protest and say, we want peace, we want freedom, we want to return to our homes and our land peacefully. So when something like this happens now, so they say, okay, fine, all this peaceful, nonviolent stuff is great, but it's not working. number one, and look at the results. Look at how many innocent civilians were killed. And this is only one example. The March of Return is one example. There's
Right.
so many others. So now
Where
look at this.
medics were targeted,
Yes.
members of the press were targeted
Yes.
by snipers who are very good at their jobs. This
Yeah.
wasn't an accident.
Yeah, no, none of this was an accident. And there were no military. There was no military there. Everybody was a civilian. I mean, there is no, like I said, there's no such thing as a Palestinian military. There never has been. They're all civilians. Some were policemen, maybe.